Wonderland. Mike Heading here, coming to you today with another little mini lesson. We're going to work on using the 5th string, the 3rd string, and the 1st string. We're going to get our index finger moving up to the 3rd string, which is, is a really common thing that beginners struggle with at first, is getting your index finger up to the 3rd string. So what we're going to do is we're going to create some harmonies on the 3rd and 1st string and use our open 5th string. So we got 3 notes. When we got 3 notes, we can put a roll to it. We can move our fingers around and, explore the fretboard a little bit. This is a great exercise. I've got a whole bunch of, ideas in the tab you can try. Alright, so here we go. Good luck. Alright, so let's start with the G major scale on the 1st string, because that's the first thing we got to get down. So we're going to use our pinky of our left hand, and I'll show you why in a second. So we're going to start on the 5th fret of the 1st string. It's a G note. Then we're going to go up to the 7th fret, then the 9th fret, then the 10th fret, then the 12th fret, then 14, 16, and 17. You can go backwards too, So if that feels new to you, that might be the spot to start. Those are the notes we're going to use on the 1st string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to harmonize with a note on the 3rd string. And then we're going to use our open 5th string to have 3 strings that we can do a roll on. Okay? So let me show you the harmonies first, and then I'll kind of break it down on why it works. Okay? So we're going to use our pinky on the 5th fret, and we're going to use our 2nd finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. And if you've done this F position G shape at the 5th fret before, you've already done these 2 notes. You've already kind of done this hand position. You might be used to putting your index and 3rd finger down. But what I would do for this exercise is just take those 2 off, and we're just going to use these 2 notes. It'll give you a little bit more maneuverability if you don't have all 4 fingers down. Okay? So that's where we're starting. So it's a G major. Okay, now we're sliding our pinky up 2 frets to the 7th fret. And then we've got to make a modification with our 2nd finger. We're going to let our 1st finger take over on the 5th fret. So we got 7 on the high string and 5, 5th fret on the middle string. Okay, so we went from 5 and 4 to 7 and 5. So let me do that a few times. You're just letting your pinky sliding up, and then your 1st finger's taking over. That's why I use these positions down here. It'll make it easier to make the shifts. So we're going up. That's an A minor, and I'll break down why these work in a second. Okay, now we're sliding up 2 more frets and keep the same shape. So keep your index and pinky. Now we're sliding up just 1 fret, and we're going to let our 2nd finger take back over. Now we're sliding up 2 frets each and keep the same shape. Now we're sliding up 2 frets and let your 1st finger take back over. Up 2 more frets and keep the same shape. And then up 1 more fret and let your 2nd finger take back over. So that gives us a harmony on each one. So let me play it just a little faster. And don't be afraid to use the rewind button if you need. I'm going to kind of intentionally go a little fast and throw a bunch of stuff at you. So use the rewind button if you need to, okay? So let me show you the scale one more time. I'm just doing pinches on the 3rd and 1st string with my thumb and middle finger. This is a really good exercise, not only for strengthening your pinky and moving it around, but kind of working on, changing positions and keeping everything really smooth. Try not to lift anything up if you don't need to. I'm really kind of sliding. Okay, and that's why I use these 2 fingers. At first glance, it might feel easier to use these ones, 1st and 3rd, or even 1st and 2nd or something. But when you try and make that shift down to the other position, it gets really hard. So that, and you've already done it with playing some of the movable chords. That's the other reason why I'd recommend doing it this way. Okay, so let me show you kind of where we're getting those harmony notes from. Okay, so we're starting in G, and we're actually going to use the 3rd. So we got a root, so the G, and then we're using a 3rd, which is our B in this case. We're doing a root and a 3rd, and it's a lower 3rd in this case. Okay, so when we go up, So here's how we make the adjustments. Because we want everything to sound good in the key of G. So basically, so let me show you if I didn't make the adjustments, the harmonic adjustments. So if I slid up to A, you know, naturally I would do the same harmony, and that would give me an A major chord. But the problem with that is that third, it's a C sharp in this case, isn't in our G major scale. So that's where we're going to actually modify that note. We're going to bring it down 1/2 step to a C, because that note is in our G scale. So that's really important. So there's a mathematical formula that kind of shows why this works. But basically it's a pattern. It's major, then we do minor, then minor, then major, then major, then minor, then it's a diminished, but it's the same shape as a minor, and then a major at the top. So you can go over that pattern, or you can look it up. Sometimes they call it a G harmonized scale, or G major scale harmonized. Again, we're just using the harmony so everything fits into the key of G. You know, so watch if I don't make the adjustments, it doesn't sound quite right. You know, it doesn't resolve back to G because I didn't make those adjustments to keep it within the G scale. So you can just remember the pattern too. You don't have to get too much into the theory if you don't want to. Okay? So let me show you some basic stuff we could do with that. So now we've got three strings covered. We can add a roll. Okay? So I'm going to do kind of a backwards roll. So I want to bring out that first string a little bit because that's kind of where my scale is coming from. So I'm going to do a backwards forwards roll. It's basically the opposite of a forward reverse roll. So I'm going to go first string, third string, fifth string. So backwards roll. And then I'm going to hit the first string again. Then I'm going to go forward starting on the fifth string. 5, 3, 1, 5. So let me do it a little faster. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So it's basically just if you've done a forward reverse roll, it's just the inverse of that. So you're starting with a middle, or a backwards roll, excuse me. Then you're hitting the first string, so everything is basically inverted. Then you're doing a forward roll. So I've got the tab if you need to refer to it. And this is good practice because we're going to use our index finger on the third string the whole time, which for a lot of beginners is really tough. Okay, so let me kind of I'll work up that scale just doing that same roll the whole time. I'm going to shift. Go back down. So I don't know, I think it sounds really cool to me. You know, it's one of those things where it sounds like you know a lot more about the banjo than you have to. It's not that hard once you get the pattern down, and you can, you know, do different rolls or jump around. So here's the next thing we can do. What's really cool is now, like I said, we've made all the adjustments to make all the notes fit in G. So one thing we could do is we could jump around between different ones. So I'm going to jump to the third, and then I'm going to go back down. So it sounds like this. Now I'm going to go back down to the A. Now I'm jumping up. So I basically went 1, then I skipped a note in the scale, so I went up to the 3, and then I went 2, 4, 3, 5. So I'm just creating a little pattern, you know, thinking of each number of the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So any pattern you can come up with will work. You know, you could do 1, 2, 3, 1, you know, 2, 3, 4, 2. You know, little patterns like that sound really cool in this exercise, you know, so you could do something like. What you try to work on is just getting to where you can do different stuff in that position and keep your right hand moving, and, you know, start modifying this left hand a little bit, and keeping your right hand the same. Okay, so another cool thing you can do is you can use it for backup stuff. So let's say I'm down here, you know, and I want to get up to a C up here, you know, so I can do something like, and then I can go back to G, and then D, so you can take it through a basic chord progression. You know, I was doing G, C, G, D. You know, when you get up here, you don't always have to use your full chords. That's a common beginner mistake, or not mistake, but you know, just a natural progression of a beginner is you learn these 4-finger chords, and then you think, you know, oh, I've got to always get them all down. That's actually not the case. You know, any more advanced player you'll see is a lot of times they're using these shapes up here, but they might only be doing 2 fingers of it. You know, 4 fingers, it's really hard to move any of the fingers because you've got them all down already. You know, if I do it this way, you know, I can grab other notes with my other fingers, you know, that kind of thing. So sometimes free yourself up and don't put all 4 fingers down, because you can get a whole bunch of other cool sounds, you know, by freeing up those other fingers to do other things. You know, that kind of thing. So I'm just going back and down using all those same harmonized notes. And what's so cool about this is, like I said, we've already made all the adjustments to make everything fit in G. So everything's going to sound cool as long as you end on G. You know, you can go down. Something like that, you know, and you've already made the adjustment. Okay, so last thing we can do that's really cool too is we can use this for some more slower backup stuff. So if we're doing something in 3/4, you know, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sometimes they call this triplet backup. It's basically you're doing, instead of eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're gonna do 3 notes. So the way you count that is triplet. You know, so you get 3 syllables, triplet. Okay, so we're gonna do, and this will work better on a slow song. So we're going to do middle on the first string, and then thumb on the third string, and then right back to a middle. So that's where our 3 notes are going to come from. Triplet. And then we're actually going to start it again with the middle finger. So triplet, triplet. You know, and you got to be able to do, it's got to be a slower song because you're doing 2 middles in a row. I mean, you're going to reach a speed wall there. So let me kind of move that around with doing those triplets. So remember, really count it out. It's three notes. So it's triplet, triplet. Okay, here we go. Triplet, triplet. You know, so that can sound really cool in some backup, you know. You know, again, just move it around, practice. You're just working that third and first string. So last little thing you can do, here's another little tip. So when you're down in your G down here, here's 2 other little modifications you want to practice. You practice putting your first finger down on the 3rd fret. So you're basically taking a major and making it a minor. So that's really good practice too, because if you're in quick need and you say, oh, I need a G minor, you can just go to your major and then, oh, let me change the first finger to make it minor. Or, you know, if they say, oh, I need an A minor quick, you know, you can, you know, so it's an easy way to, you got it, your major chord, you can quick make it minor really easily. The other little thing you can do is add your 3rd finger to the 3rd string. So you're going to the 5th fret. So you can get some extra notes. I mean, just listen to, you know, if I'm on a G chord, I can just spice it up a little bit by just doing a roll and adding that 3rd finger. So that's just a different harmony. That'll work good up here. Here's a little triplet thing you can do using that little idea. So you're going to be up at the 12th fret, so it's our bar chord of G, but we're just going to do it with the 1st and 3rd string again. So I'm using my pinky at the 12th fret, and then I'm using my 3rd finger at the 12th fret of the 3rd string. So I'm doing that triplet again, triplet, triplet. So you do it once, you can do it as many times as you want on each. Actually, let's do it a couple times on each, excuse me. And then you let your second finger take over. And then first finger take over. So in this case, we're actually doing a G major 7, and then a G7. So it's basically those same ideas, just mixed up in a different, using them in a different order. It could also be a D, you know, a D sus4 and a D minor. So there is a couple ways you can use these same positions. So we don't have to go too much into the theory, but it's just a cool little G lick. So watch, it sounds like this. And then a C, you know, you can go to C there. You can do it in C too, up at the 15th, or excuse me, 17th fret. You know, so these will all be in the tab. Those are just little things to practice. Once you get the pattern down, you know, jump around from different ones. You don't have to go just straight up and down the scale. You could go. You know, I'm just jumping around to random different ones. Like I said, you've already made the modifications to keep everything in G, so you don't have to worry about, are those harmonies going to sound good, because if you follow that pattern, you've already made the adjustments to know the harmonies are going to sound good. Okay, last thing is, it's a pattern, so, you know, so you could do it, same thing in F. You know, or A, you know, A major. You might have to tune the 5th string eventually, but you know, it's good practice. It's a shape, you know, or like that triplet stuff. You know, where I'm not actually even using the 5th string. You know, if you did some, you know, backup in F or something, you know, for, you know, Ocean of Diamonds or something, or some 3/4 song, you know. So it's a really cool little, you know, movable shape. My best advice would be to work on it in G, and then try it in a bunch of different keys. I mean, it works really good in C, too. It's a really good way to explore the fretboard.